EA Sports. It's in the game.
Sometimes I feel like I'm in the game. There's an intoxicating intensity in the air once you step into the ring, slipping through slugfests in a blink of an eye, capturing the perfect moment to strike. Boxing matches become indistinguishable from dance choreography, keeping myself within rhythm to knock the opponent out, or knock me out. Clutching for the ropes, my only lifeline left, before my vision fades and I wake up from a long nap on the mat. We're so over. Oh, we're so back. Punch Out for the Nintendo Wii always pulls me into the moment. I'm not playing a game anymore, I'm inside the ring facing the champion, fighting for my hopes and dreams. My own intense button mashing mirrors the gameplay intensity. Every frame is the moment. That moment? It was 2009. It's been harder for me these days to find games like this. Is it me? Or is it the game? I'm constantly reminded that I'm staring at a TV, holding a controller, interacting inorganically with how the game works, not living in the virtual moment. Now I only fight for the credits. Screw boxing, the box has finally been checked. I tend to play the blame game more than the game itself. One of the most terminally online things I can say is that I needed to play a video game to feel present in my own world. Just like humans, skateboards contain multitudes. Tony Hawk Pro Skater is back, gracing us with a remake of 3 and 4 wrapped in a beautiful skater bow for this beautiful skater boy. Touching board in this game leads to the sickest combos and the jammiest beats, even if Tony Hawk said "see you later boy" to the original soundtrack. I guess it wasn't good enough for him. To keep my criticism brief, let's just say some of the other changes were a lot worse than grinding rails to run the jewels. The tight parameters required to keep combos going makes chasing high scores a satisfying struggle. The gameplay is a constant tug of war between playfulness and precision, all done via a soiree of flips and grabs that overpower any nitpicks worth prodding. The music, the visuals, and the wicked high skill ceiling combine to create an intense attitude bursting out of every button press. Tony Hawk isn't afraid to challenge skaters by giving over-the-top levels of control with the board, but little room for mistakes. One challenge turns into another, and in no time, you are 3 levels deep past midnight. This game isn't easy, but it is easy to lose yourself to this game. Forget about your worries and immerse yourself inside a combo-driven flow state. This is why I couldn't keep my hands off the controller, despite any nitpicks about remake accuracy. Tony Hawk's flow state comes from demanding game mechanics that push players to their limits. But that's not all there is to do with a skateboard. What about a skateboarding game with a fraction of the challenge, but just as much flow? Sword of the Sea is the yin to Tony Hawk's yang, a serene, shredding symphony, cultivated from its music, art direction, and interactive simplicity. Gameplay flows through the controller by how the sword board glides across the sands, yet stops on a dime. Tricks that are a breeze to execute with no punishment for failure. Wide open sandboxes inviting exploration instead of minimap mastery. Yet no level is big enough to overwhelm the player. It's a game that feels good to play because it doesn't demand anything more from you than to be present on your board. One with the environment. The hoverboard sword slicing here is so serene I couldn't keep my hands off the controller. It's not always about the sickest combos or the jammiest beats. Sometimes it's about cruising down a sunny slope, synthesizing with the environment. I love that we can have 2 wildly different approaches to shredding gnar out right now that are equally interesting for completely opposite reasons. Tony Hawk satisfies that goal-oriented part of my brain, the part that wants to challenge themselves to be the best. Sword of the Sea satisfies the comfort-seeking part of my brain, the part that's tired of pushing themselves and would rather minimize their lifestyle. Both of these games give the breather I need from all the contemporary video games out there. The modern AAA game can ask so much of you at times. Where Tony Hawk is demanding of its gameplay, most games are demanding of your time and energy. This leads to games obsessed with helping players optimize the fun out of the experience. How can you check the boxes faster? How can you min-max your way out of the challenge? How can you speed through the story but also not miss any content? We no longer treat video games as unpredictable living worlds, but rather systems ready to be dissected and exploited. Sometimes it's necessary to play a game that abandons challenge and engagement models for a frictionless experience, focusing on synergy with the game world. Sometimes it's necessary to play a game that encourages challenge as a form of thrill-seeking and player expression, instead of a hard nut to crack. Sword of the Sea doesn't have me eyeballing the next big game release as I play. Tony Hawk Pro Skater doesn't have me looking at the clock as I play. Well, except for that one clock. Long ago, video games were coined as a form of escapism. Now it seems like the digital world plays a larger role in our lives than the real one. Maybe we can find something good out of that. The design philosophy behind these two games reminded me how to be more present in my own world, how to live in the moment. I never wanted to enter this digital world as a conqueror. This time, I'll let the game wash over me, take in the sights, the sounds, the sensations. Tony Hawk Pro Skater made me feel present. Sword of the Sea made me feel present. These two games taught me how to dance again. I'm not just playing a game, I'm in the game.